There's no way back into the international community for President Putin. Do you
think this is done?
He's a war criminal. I'm sorry?
He's done.
He's done. He's a war criminal. He's someone that's perpetrated murder, everywhere. And one of the problems now with social media, Andrew, it's just ridiculously bad. And so he will likely negotiate a ceasefire and try to figure out a way to get some type of immunity for himself and some of his generals. And so when you stop and you think about that, that is also possibly good for the West. But then again, we don't know who's going to replace Vladimir Putin inside the Russian power structure. So to me, I look at the West today, Joe Biden, the coalition, the 28 nations, and you have to be proud of what they did because they locked him down in the most aggressive way after, as Joe Kernan just mentioned, 15 years of not locking him down, whether it was Georgia, Crimea, Chechnya, Syria. He figured, hey, this is no problem. I'll just be able to go in there and I won't face that resistance. And remember, one thing that Stephen left out is the active measures here in the United States. And so the former KGB officials, the GRU, they're trying to split the country. They've got a map of our country somewhere in Moscow, and they'll send, racial invective in certain areas of the country. They'll send anti-vaccine propaganda in other areas. And he really thought he had the country split. And he thought he had a few of these Republicans like Trump that were going to go out there and praise him. And he thought he had the West split, and he doesn't. And he is finished. He will go like Khrushchev goes, and I predict that he'll leave before Joe Biden ever leaves office.
Anthony, two questions. Big U.S. corporations, and I'm talking about McDonald's, Starbucks on the sort of retail end, but then the banks, we're talking about J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and others that have had presences in Russia that have at least pulled out temporarily. Do they go back? How does that work?
So I would take you back to 1986 when the decisions were made in the West related to South Africa. Until there is a significant regime change there and some positivity and softening of that militarism, I do not see anybody being able to go back. And I don't see any reason why Western leaders would release those sanctions no matter what the outcome is in the Ukrainian war. And so, yes, they will eventually go back, Andrew, a lot like South Africa. It took 3 years until Mandela was released from prison. And so these things do take a while. They'll go back, but they're not going to go back any time with President Putin in charge.